Hi everybody, I'm Tony E at Show AP Interface Brief. It's late, I'm full of Red Bull, and let's talk OpenSOC IO. On October 25th, the Recon InfoSec put on their OpenSOC IO Blue Team CTF at B-Sides DC. This was my second year attending the event, and it did not disappoint. This year was bigger, better, faster, and went even deeper than before. This competition is called OpenSOC. It leverages free and open source tools stitched together into a cohesive SOC, that's a security operations center, in order to detect, protect, and analyze systems and the traffic of a mock enterprise. Right? A mock enterprise is going to have workstations and servers and forward-facing web applications, internal services, and they've modeled all of this and the threat actors coming in. So to lay out what this experience is really like, it's all SOC-focused challenges. A compromise has either happened or is happening, and you have to use the tools in their SOC to extract the artifacts, which are the flags to move through the competition. Some of the artifacts would be like, what is the IP address of the attacker, and what is the host name of the next box the attacker pivoted to after gaining a foothold? What is the process ID of a C2 channel? The tools of the SOC are much the same as last year. You can read about them here on their page. Most of the tools you get hands-on with, where Graylog is going to be your SIM, Collide is going to be your real-time querying, and Moloch for full PCAP and Suricata alerts. The other tools in their suite are extracting data and feeding Graylog, so it's mostly hands-off with those, but you get a lot of enriched logs and information fed into the SIM. This year was different than last year, so I wanted to cover those differences and also describe my approach to this year's event. Last year, OpenSOC IO leveraged CTFD for a scoreboard. Each flag was locked until the previous flag was solved. This meant you had to go in order and you couldn't divide and conquer if you were playing as a team with a couple of people. This year, they used a different scoreboard with sections or missions, and each mission had a number of scenarios, and each scenario had a varying number of flags. Some were about 20 flags, and some were, I don't know, I can't remember, were up to 60. I don't know, some of them seemed like it would never end. This was advantageous because it allowed people who were playing as a team to divide and conquer, solving flags and gaining points on 2 or more fronts at a time. The environment seemed quite stable, and the tools were quite stable too this year. Last year they did a pretty good job, but overall I think this year went a bit smoother. We started at about 1 p.m. or shortly after and went to about 8:45. I only wish we had more time. 7 hours was not enough. We could have gone all night. Now, because I was such a fan of this event from the 2018 B-Sides DC season, I've been talking it up internally to my coworkers at my company. And when tickets went on sale, I grabbed 4 right away, not even knowing who I'd give them to. I mentioned that the tickets were on sale on our company Slack, and before I knew it, we had 9 tickets purchased and 9 people ready to play. Naturally, we split up into 3 teams of 3, and we made a bit of an internal competition out of it. And to commemorate the event, we 3D printed some trophies for our teams. First place got this awesome trophy of the ubiquitous trophy lady holding up the golden laptop. Ooh! Ah! Second place got this trophy, which is a toilet with a laptop in it. And third place, well, third place didn't get anything because we broke the 3D printer making these 2 trophies. Out of my company internally, my team placed first, which puts us at about 5th place overall for the whole game. Also, personally, I placed 5th in the overall MVP for most points per person, which was quite a surprise for myself. My company's 2nd place team placed 6th overall, so we were neck and neck trying to leapfrog each other all the way to the bitter end. I highly recommend this style CTF for any group of people. When you have a group of coworkers or group of people go through this sort of emotional ups and downs and frustrations of this kind of event, it forges strong bonds between the people that makes your company or your group stronger. I want to point out after showing these scores and our placement that we aren't analysts. In fact, none of us have analysts in our job titles. We're all just engineers. We typically spend our time building and deploying and integrating tools like these, but don't often spend any time in the driver's seat doing the day-to-day operations. This is one of the reasons this event is so much fun. For us and myself, it gives us a peek into how all these tools are necessary to telling the story of an event, and what we gain from it is making us better engineers because we've gained a bit of experience on how to think like an analyst in a SOC. I really enjoyed this year how some of the scenarios and missions were leveraging the TTPs of some of the named APTs and threat actors. This added a bit of realism to the stories and the artifacts that we were collecting. They were relatable and relevant. The one negative thing I'll bring up, and it's not about the OpenSOC team or their systems that they've built, but about the learning aspect of all of this. Now, because this is a competition and it's a race to the finish line, once you get a flag and you plug it in and that little window turns green, you move on to the next flag right away, immediately hunting for that next flag. You never have the time to stop and think, why? Why did the threat actor do this? Why was this artifact left behind? Or is it possible that I missed an artifact, that our tools missed an artifact? And why? You don't have enough time to sit and ask why, and perhaps that's something you should be doing on your own time. But I would sure like to be able to ask answer those why questions using this environment that they've built, because it is so robust. For anyone thinking about playing this style of event or this event at other venues, here's my piece of advice. You need to watch out for tunnel vision. Sometimes you're staring at the screen at a set of data for so long, you're not seeing the forest for the trees. You need to take a step back, go for a walk, change gears, and then come back. And sometimes you need a break, especially after nearly 8 straight hours of gaming. I found myself getting quite frustrated about the wording of some of the questions, and I reflecting back on it, realized that this was my own tunnel vision. I was getting caught up in what I was seeing and missing some of the fringe details that would have helped me answer some of the flags. And I remembered from last year performing for 8 hours straight on my Surface Pro 4, there just wasn't a lot of screen real estate, and I found it a little bit frustrating. So this year I went on the OpenSOC.io Slack channel and asked them, hey, do you mind if I bring an extra monitor? They said, do it. So I brought this awesome 24-inch monitor. I was surprised that I was the only person who brought a monitor to the event. Considering this is a SOC event, and typically at a SOC you have multiple screens because you need multiple tools up at one time to be able to correlate from tool A to tool B. You just need a little bit more screen real estate. I will not say that it gave me an advantage because obviously I didn't win, but it did make it did make using the tools a little bit easier, having the additional real estate. But because I did have such a large monitor and the seating was pretty close, I was trying to be very cautious about putting my notes on that screen where I know that people sitting behind me might be able to easily take a look over my shoulder. So if you have the ability, and the venue permits it and the team permits it, I definitely recommend bringing an additional monitor and snagging a little corner seat by some extra power if you can. That's what I did. All right, everyone, that's my review of the OpenSOC.io competition at B-Sides DC for 2019. I'm really excited for next year. See you guys.